Hi, I'm Anne, and today we're going to talk about square knots. A couple of years ago, a technique came out that was referred to as Shambhala. How it got that nomenclature, I don't know. But it's basically just making square knots. And squares and double half hitches are the two most important knots in macrame jewelry. So let's go through them. This is a variation on a theme. What I used here were Czech size 2 seed beads, and I put 4 square knots in the middle of them so that I have more knots than I have beads, which is not what you're accustomed to seeing. You're accustomed to seeing more beads and fewer knots, which is what I'm going to show you in this video. So what you'll need is your Czech mix, and I've decided to use the 6 millimeter Czech seed beads in mine. I have Tex 210 Eslon. To finish it, you'll need 2 ribbon crimps. These are 5 millimeters. You'll need 2 jump rings and a clasp of some kind. All right, so let's get started here. You'll also need some clear glue. It doesn't matter. I have super glue gel is good. Regular super glue is good. This is the GS Hypo Cement. Whatever you've got, you just want it to be clear drying. And the glue's not all that important because it doesn't hold the clasp on. All it does is keep the knots from untying. Okay, so what I've done is I've pulled 2 15-inch pieces of Eslon. The reason they're 15 inches is because I wanted to have enough to bring over the top of the macrame board and then loop around. This is the mini Mac. If you're going to use the big board, you probably want to pull 24 inches. What I've done is I've loaded my 6 millimeter beads on first. Now, it is possible to get 2 pieces of Tex 210 through a 6 millimeter fire polish. It's a little hard, but it can be done. It's my preference. I like to have as much cord in this center to fill up the hole in the bead as possible. It's not necessary to use 2. You can do it with 1, but 2 is kind of cool. Lengthwise, before you start, you're going to want to make sure that you have enough beads to make your project. So let me just slide this up for a minute. I want a 7-inch bracelet. My findings are going to give me 1 inch, so I need 6 inches of beads and knots. So what I've loaded is each one of these from dark line to dark line is 1 inch. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 inches of beads on here. That's probably 1 or 2 beads more than I'll need, but it's always nice to load 1 or 2 extra. Okay, I seem to have lost my piece of Eslon. Here it is on the floor. Now I have, this is 1.5 yards, so that's what, 45 inches of, 48 inches of Eslon. And what I'm going to do is just find the center of the Eslon and pass it under these core cords. And what I have to do is make a series of square knots to attach a ribbon crimp to. So the first square knot obviously is going to be right over. Actually, I'm just going to tie a reef knot to get it started. So just tie a reef. Let me get that. All right, so let me see. Okay. So just a knot to get it started. Now I'm going to, bring that back into the camera. Actually, I'll bring the board down. I like to work up towards the top of the macrame board. It gives me a little more stability. So the left cord's going to come out to the left side. The right cord's going to come out to the right side. I'm going to start the square knots by passing the right hand cord under the center and over the left hand cord. Now I'm going to pick the left hand cord up and bring it through the loop that's been created by the right hand cord and pull that tight. So that's 1/2 of a square knot. So now to finish it, I have to bring the left hand cord under the center, over the right hand cord, pick up this right hand cord, bring it through the loop, pull that. So that's 1 full square knot. I'm going to do that 2 more times because I like to have with the Tex 210 Eslon, I find that 3 square knots is really makes a nice end for those ribbon crimps. It gives you enough space that you can work with them, get those ribbon crimps set on nice and tight. So there's 2. I'm going to do 1 more. Okay, so now I'm ready to bring beads up, and all I'm going to do is slide a bead up to that series of knots, and I'm going to start tying square knots under the bead. In this case, I'm just going to put one square knot under it. Again, I'm going to start with my right, goes over the left comes through the loop, snug that up, left goes under the core, bring the right one through the loop, snug it up, bring another bead up, right goes under the centers, over the left, left comes through the loop. Normally I would have this board in my lap, leaning against the edge of my bench so it wouldn't be scooting all over the place, but in order to be able to do it for the camera, I have to lay it flat. That's why the board's moving around a little bit. So you're just going to keep doing that. It's right goes under, over the left, left comes through the loop, left goes under the center, goes over the right, right comes through the left loop. And as you can see, I'm getting a nice set of beads with not too much knotting in between them. Like I said in the beginning, you can change that up by putting more knots in between the beads. It's just up to the look that you want and or the number of beads that you happen to have available. And then when it's time to finish it, you'll just go ahead and put glue on these, take it off the board of course, put glue on the knots, let the glue set up so that you can cut the knot, and I use flush cutters for that, and then just put that ribbon crimp on it. And the ribbon crimps, for those of you who don't know how they work, they're real simple. Let me see if I can find one over here. Grab a pair of chain nose pliers. The ribbon crimp, see if I can zero in on this a little bit. The ribbon crimp actually has some teeth on it. So all you do is slip the end into, let me see, slip the end into the crimp itself, and then just crimp it shut. And then just add whatever your clasps are to it. This one I've got a magnet on, whatever it is you want to put on the end of it. But that's all there is to it. So mix up the size of your beads, mix up the number of knots that you put in between your beads. You don't even have to use all the same size beads in the book. I think I did one of these that I used atlas beads on. So it doesn't matter the shape of your bead. It does help if it's a center hole bead. You don't want to use a top drill bead on something like this. So that's it for Shambhala. Have a good time with it.